you know, you were in the locker room. You've been around Dan. What is it about him that even after Sunday, there were players that had been there for a while, and even players like Todd Gurley who just got there, having his back. Just what is it about him that made players feel like they had to speak up on his behalf?
Well, I think everyone could sense what was going on in the media, and all the newspaper clippings are out there about there might need to be a change. And I think these guys have been in the trenches with Dan Quinn. Some of these guys a little bit longer than others, but I would say that the new guys who are here, they've come to like him as a person and as a coach, and he's been set to be a player's coach. And I think anytime you're in the trenches with someone and they're going through tough times, I think it affects everyone. So you want to show support and keep a positive outlook on things. So hopefully you can turn things around.
I don't know if this is the right time to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway. We've asked it many times over the years with the brotherhood stuff, the T-shirts, the hats, all gas, no brakes. There's so many different sayings. Do people really believe that stuff? Did that work? Like, and at what point? Because that stopped this year. There wasn't any of that this year.
I noticed that.
At what point? Yeah, I noticed that too. Why do you think that stopped?
Well, I think there is no word magic. When it comes down to it, it's all about going out there and making sure you're prepared to go and face the other opponent. And I think that kind of looks good on social media. When you have the hashtags and these sayings that kind of band everyone together. But ultimately, it's always going to be the guys in the room are always going to be the guys that matter the most. So you're always going to be in a brotherhood, and that brotherhood continues to change in the NFL from year to year. So I think the word magic just kind of got a little played out, and it was more so about, man, we really got to get some wins here. And of course, we want to display what we're doing in the best light on social media. And I say I'm talking about the Falcons at the time, from them trying to control what comes out of their camp. While they're all there, you want it to look a certain way, but at the end of the day, it's going to be about wins. So if a hashtag won't work if you're 0-5, I think that's what we're seeing.
Absolutely. Have you talked to any players since Sunday or about it? Just
no, I haven't.
What's the vibe? Because you've talked to guys over the past couple of weeks. Just was it time for a change? Because publicly they might. Do they feel like it had to happen?
I think they just knew that the writing was on the wall. A lot of those guys are going to have a hard time, accepting the fact that there is change. And this is a big change. Some of these guys have never played for any other coach in the pros. And, moving forward, of course, they have Raheem Morris to right the ship and someone that they're comfortable with. But I think it's the vibe is more so like, man, we couldn't get those wins, and I think that's why they're sticking up for Dan Quinn, because they want to win and show that, they're behind their head coach and that his way works, because we've seen that in the program here, and it's been successful at times. But ultimately, if you're talking about 6 seasons and you have 2 winning seasons and you start off this one the way that it's going, Mr. Blank is just not gonna sit back and ride with that. And I think Rod's a guy who the team is gonna, they're gonna like. I saw Romeo Crennel lead his guys to a win this week. I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons come out this week and get a W.
Here's the thing. This might be you tell me if I'm wrong, because I might be wrong. You obviously, you're a player. You've been in the locker room. I haven't. From my perspective, it just kind of feels like the Falcons have an accountability issue. They like Dan, but I'm not really sure that Dan was holding guys accountable. And you can tell me if I'm right or wrong about that, but do you think that there could be a problem? They might like Raheem Morris, but do you think it's just the same issue? They like the guy, but the guy isn't going to hold people accountable when the time comes to hold people accountable.
Well, that's not the way to keep the job. So I think Raheem is looking at this as an opportunity for him to go out and establish, what his brand of ball is, because Dan Quinn's been the leader. It's been a little bit different. And I think he'll have to go out and definitely, be accountable. And that's what we used to have those meetings, Tell the Truth Monday. Didn't even have Victory Mondays here when you won. You had Tell the Truth Mondays, and that was all about accountability. And from that standpoint, I haven't been around the past 2 years, but when I was there, it was, we were winning games. I would say that too. But when you came in and even if you won, they would show the plays that we can get better at, the things that, that we could do better the next week. And ultimately, it kind of seems as if, last year, Dan Quinn let go of a lot of his coordinators, guys who've been here for a long time, guys who were a big part of, the success that he's had. And I think he kind of wanted to bet on himself this year. He hired some guys who had been here, obviously Dirk Cutter's been here, and the change at defensive coordinator with Raheem and Brick calling together. I think they were trying to, find a way to get it done, but he's going to have to be accountable, and that's what we've seen, and that's why he's no longer the head coach.
Did you notice? I mean, I think that Dan Quinn's legacy is always going to be 28-3 until he does something to change that. Did you notice a change in his style after that loss in the Super Bowl?
I think it was a gradual thing, after the loss, because if I have, these things in place that have helped me get to the Super Bowl, I won't change a lot of the things to going forward next year. I look at what we need to get better at, but ultimately when we left the Super Bowl in Houston, what should have been said was, this is what happened, guys. Ultimately we threw the ball when we should have ran the ball. And I think you never really got past that. And you talked about the accountability. That was something that was never said. I mean, after the game, Coach Quinn was like, man, guys, I just don't have the words for you guys right now. But the words were pretty simple. We messed it up, and we had an opportunity, and we gave one of the best quarterbacks of all time a chance to come back and get us. And then the following year, the defense really stood up and took a big step, and then the offense couldn't find a groove. And I think that was, why they wanted to make changes from that aspect. But ultimately, man, it just comes down to winning games, and Dan Quinn didn't win enough of them. And the style, I would say, is still the same style of ball, but they did have these few wrinkles. You have Raheem Morris calling plays on this down. You have, Jeff Ulbrich calling plays on this down. And that wasn't the system that was successful in 2016 and ultimately got them to the playoffs in 2017 as well.
Spoon, I think we see what Dan shows, in press conferences, and that's really all we see. Is he the same guy behind closed doors? And if he was, did people take that serious, that rah-rah kind of style that he had?
Yeah, I think he was the same. Dan was always Dan. And I think the guys that he drafted when he first got here, those guys started to grow up. Those guys are veterans now. And they're looking at it like, there is no word magic or a T-shirt that's going to get you ready to go out there and play the game. It's going to be going balls out at practice, getting ready to, go out and do that. And, ultimately they just couldn't find the energy to translate out there on Sunday, because I'm pretty sure during training camp and the practices throughout the week, the guys are going out there feeling like they're about to go win the game, and they just couldn't get that done. And I think that's the reason why, Dan is looking for a job now. And hopefully those guys could turn it around with Raheem Morris and, close out the year in a good way. They seem to do that the past few years, start pretty rough and then finish it out in a better way. And I think that's what bought Dan some time. But 0-5, there was no coming back from this. I think we've been, figuring something was going to come down pretty soon for the past, 4 or 5 weeks, actually.
Awesome. Spoon, thanks for your time. I don't know if you saw my text. I got a Peloton, so listen, whenever you want that